Shall we review? We mentioned the recycle symbol,
Yeah.
the 3 A's. What's the first one? Absorb. Second, adapt. Third, nice. Cool.
Work. Paying attention?
We also gave perspective of range of how to get out of your bubble, and I did it in the way of when someone's born into a room, into a street, into a city, into a continent, everything's always expand. Our brains are meant to expand, so treat it as a muscle to work out to expand. You retain things more, you recall things more when you're more hands-on, using more body parts as gears in your clockwork. The less you use those gears, the less it relies on everything. It becomes categorized in one thing. And I gave that analogy of swiping, right? If you're on your phone, we're all typing with our one finger, all these letters that are so complex, but we only give it one action, or a swipe. You want to use as much as, what's up? Use as much as possible that your brain offers to utilize all those tools so you can be able to retain and recall your memory. And we also talked about memory too, right? Sure, Lando. Thanks. They weren't even here and they support me.
Always, you know?
Word. We also talked about characterization. For those who aren't comfortable being themselves as an identity when they perform or they create, I gave 4 types of mentalities to think about through music. One was the genre of music, country, rock, that creates a persona if you want to pull from. It's them again. Someone's won a spit fight. The other one was the artist, the way the artist sounds. I gave references of Luda, Missy. They have a specific sound that you can pull as a character when you react to them in music. The other, Jesus, these guys, bro.
That's support.
Are they? They're hyping us?
Yeah.
I guess, education.
Right.
Right. What is it? Genre. Then, what I said, artist. And then the producer also has a certain flavor. Swizzy on the beat, mustard, right? You can pull from that as a character too. And then the last one was concept. Yes, concept. If you're, like I said, a firefighter today, or a donkey, cross-eyed donkey with 1 leg and 4 hooves, like, mess with it. You never know what you might get. Become abstract.
1 leg and 4 hooves.
Yep. You never know. Then I gave you guys the box concept, right? 4 sides, 6. Yeah, thanks, guys. I know it's the last day of the week, so I'm just reviewing. So do not worry. I'll pretend you guys are with me mentally. Cool? Yeah, they're just like. So don't worry. Today's not so much of a lesson. I have these ladies up here to give their perspective of things. That you're not just getting my perspective. The whole thing's about perspective. Cool? The box. I gave the thing about a peanut, right? Peanut's a subject. One texture, we talked about textures, is peanut butter. Turn the box again, we have what? Powder form. Turn it again. Oil. Turn it again. Crunchy. Crunchy. Yes. Then we have the positive and the negative. Looking at the top of the box is what? The benefits of what that peanut does within all those textures. The bottom of the box is the negative aspect, and which is what? Allergies. So any subject that you bring in, try to give as many perspectives as possible so you give yourselves more options to create and innovate. You won't get choreographers block. I don't get choreographers block at all. Unlimited options in my mind. I should never be stumped for something. Understand?
Yeah. I need to apply that. I know. Me too. Yeah.
These will be on YouTube, so whatever you missed, they'll be on the Fair Play YouTube. Then we talked about formats and processes. So we talked about, we use the term a skeleton when you create content, right? Right? Sure. And I gave each part of the build was like the bones, nervous system, organs, muscles, skin, and body. Bones is the music, the basis of everything that we do. Nervous system, the senses in music and natural instinct and movement. The organs is mapping out the function of your art. If you're a choreographer or if you're freestyle or whatever your art is, it's the function of it, the way you map it out. The muscle is physically adding movement to it. You get down, you vibe out, start creating, you start adding the physical aspect to it. The skin is solidifying the combo, tighten up everything that you want to do for it, and then the body, the whole complete body, is the product. Got it? Good. Running through this. Then we talked about figuring out the way your brain operates, how it operates. Are you linear when you create something, A through Z? Or are you, like me, reverse engineering, Z to A? I know what I want to create, I break it down, and then I grow back up. Then I go linear. Another one was nonlinear. You skip around, A, D, G, P, Z, right? You have markers, or what did we say before? Someone said checkpoints, right? Checkpoints of your creation, and then you just fill in the voids of whatever you need to do. And the last one is abstract. You have all this chaos going on, but for some reason it gets back into that center, and that's that product. So your brain just thinks in different ways. Sweet. Nice. Then we talked about memory practices. Once you figure out how your brain works, then you can figure out how to build on that mentality. We have how you think, and then when you also think. One option was photographic. You use photographic memory through images to retain information and recall it. My example is I'm part of this, where I can go to one place and then leave 10 years later and come back. I know how to get there right away, recognize it, because whatever my brain pulls in is just photographic, and it just keeps making a bunch of slides. So no matter where I am, I don't need a GPS. I can just get there, even mentally tell you how to get there and draw it out. That's just me.
Hey, that's nice.
The other one is numerical. You think in numbers, mathematics. An example I gave is how Paradox thinks. You see angles, you see everything in math. You are Neo from the Matrix. You see all the zeros and ones. Everything's numerical to you. Even density, weight transfer, that's a number. You think this way. The other is sensual. You use your senses to remember things, or your emotions. You attach memory to your emotions. When you feel a certain way, you remember it. Or you use your sight, ears, smell, sound, taste to recall information. And the last one is, it's a weird one to say this, but it's visual, but more so for storytelling. You're within your mindscape. You're in your head. You visually see things in here. We talked about the house. So when you start at the door, you create what makes sense to you in your story to be able to recall that. An example I gave to watch, if you have Netflix, there's a documentary called Memory Games. If you watch this, it'll also help you visually, instead of me saying by words, to figure out how you think. So if you want to write that down, it's just called Memory Games on Netflix. It's information that's been out there, but you see a lot of people who compete for memory games, who compete against each other with cards. They throw down a whole deck of cards that's mixed up, and they look at it within a second, and they got to be able to replicate that pattern. But they create stories. So if they see the King of Hearts, for some reason in their head, there's like a midget holding an umbrella. Doesn't make sense to us, but it makes sense to them in order for them to recall that information, so they can work back into their rooms. They create rooms for memory. Next one really quick, we're almost there. We talked about healthy and unhealthy ego. That the term of, remember what ego was versus egotistical? Egotistical is the negative one. The 3 things to let go of. Remember I said if you flip the E, it becomes a 3. So 3 things to let go, ego. What's the first one? Looks, vanity, knowing it's necessary. And we also talked about the audition process too, when looks are required and then when looks aren't required. That that's not your world, and you're not absorbed in your looks all the time, where it starts taking away from who you are, becomes a surface thing. The next one, gain, in terms of riches and knowledge. When you gain so much knowledge, you start to belittle things if it's not for the positive aspect. You start looking at people differently. You start acting like you're not human. You get this God complex. I'm beyond this. It's weird, but be careful with how you build your mind, because it can be broken. It's meant to be broken. It's weird to build. Last one, status. Hierarchy or rank. If you're getting too caught up in, like we talked about Instagram, right? We'll talk about that today. You post blah, 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 and you only get 100 likes. You're like, damn it. You know, let it grow. Don't worry about it. You did your work. Move on. Keep moving. Or how many followers another person has versus you. It's a rank system that's unhealthy. But, again, use it as much as they're going to use you in terms of the industry. We talked about that also, right? For those, yeah, we did. Then we also talked about what? Say again? Yes, we also talked about film for those who are content creators, the different types of, when you do create content, that you know what you're creating for. If it is for film or a music video or for Instagram or YouTube or television, the things you got to worry about with angles and shadows and lighting and all that kind of stuff. That was a more technical subject, but again, these will be recorded if you want to look back on that, so I won't go over that. My voice is getting chapped. Oh, also knowing your vocabulary. So what it is that you are learning, that you tie some vocabulary to it, that you're able to remember it, and that you're not just being fed like replaced words, or like the dance moves we talked about before, like the Running Man versus what the real Running Man is. It's not all your fault. It's actually the fault of the teachers who aren't educating that as well. They're not passing that knowledge because they want to take ownership of something. Everybody wants to be known or own something. So again, always question it and look around and ask. You'll find the answers. They're out there. And I feel like I want to stop there. Is that okay? Did I miss anything else? Anybody want to run anything out? Ooh. Yes, we talked about, well, I used LA as a reference, but the different types of studios that are out there, and I always give the advice of at least taking a trip out there to see who you are within this world and see if it is actually for you, but that each studio has a different type of reasoning or purpose, and that you know what you're going there for. So we talked about those and the relations between those. We talked about the audition process, right? And yes, we broke down the generations of, it's not the generations of dance, but just the generations of growth in our culture. So we went from generation 1, originators, generation 2, blah, 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 and how it went into media and Broadway, and then the collegiate scene, which grew back into the studio scene with the technical world, and now it's the television competition stuff, and and now we have the social media aspect. So they're all tools for you guys to use. They're all tools. Just know that when you're already being used, use them back. That's all I say. Just know what you're doing. Sweet? Cool, let's wake up.
Woo!
Dying.
That woo.
So today, oh my God, to my left is Jade. To her left is...
Hi, I'm Bailey.
Tight, I just want to hear it. And then we got...
What's good? Nah.
I'll pass the mic down. What I wanted to speak on, so I'll just curate this. It's not so much of a lesson as before, but to hear 3 different minds within your generation, and I don't mean generation as an age, the generation of our culture right now. Age ranges range from 6 to, what's that guy with the long beard again? I forgot. Like 60 something. It doesn't matter, but I think he's 60 something, 64. I'll try to figure out his name. But what the platform is, what platforms are being used, how it is being used, the positive aspects of it. So we normally talk about the negative parts of social media, but also the benefits of it, and then also any dangers of what the social media can bring, whether it's depression, or if you're a model and you're booking jobs that you're not going by yourself, kind of things, just things to think about, to be aware, because the world is getting more evil by the day, and it's out there, and we kind of see that. So on those subjects, and if you guys need help, you just let me know, but we're just talking on those thoughts. I just wanted to give you guys' perspectives as you're currently active and growing within this social media market, to just share your perspective on your growth and what you do within that platform and how you use it.
Take it away, Bailey. Oh, snap. Oh, my. Well, I'm 15, so I started in dancing competitively, so I started at a studio and everything, and I think I started my social media, I was maybe like 7 or something. But like my mom was like helping me through it, and like everybody at the studio, like it was like within my dance studio, we were all like trying to figure out what this is, you know, we're all just kind of discovering and maneuvering our way through it, I guess. And I don't know, I just, as like time went on, I would make like stupid videos of myself like doing like a leg turn or something, and I was just like posting it just for fun, because I mean, we were all doing that, and it was just like, it was fun, you know, it was just another thing to do. And then when I started taking more classes in LA, I started to document just videos and like little things I would have, like in class, I would ask someone to record me on the side just to watch it back, look at it and see what I can do better, look at that, post it online, and just kind of almost like use it as like a tracking to see my growth throughout the years. And it's great for me because now I get to look back at everything like where I started, which I love about that. And then I just kind of kept on posting videos just throughout the years, and luckily somehow builded like an audience, which I'm super grateful for. But it all just kind of came really expectedly. Yeah, so it was never like, I want to be like an Instagram human, you know, type of thing. It was just kind of like, I'm just posting like, I like to dance and this is me, and that's about it. I would just post a picture of myself, not even knowing that it could become another, like a business almost, like another, because I feel like it's pretty known now that like an Instagram is very similar to like a resume. Mm-hmm. Like, you should have like a picture, like a current picture of yourself, almost to be used as like a headshot. So if somebody wants to book you through online, they can see everything. They can see how you're dancing, how you're looking, everything just through your Instagram. So yeah, that's basically how I started. And anybody else want to take it? Yeah. That was like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. Okay.
I just wanted to sum what she just explained to give bullet points. She used it for documentation, and to document her growth, right? To see her progress, to look back on, to reminisce, but also use it as a resume that constantly updates. So that's a positive aspect of using that social media platform for those who are writing stuff down. Sweet.
Yeah.
Y'all go. Okay, so for me, I didn't start dancing, honestly, until I was like 12, 13. So when I had first started my Instagram, I was like around 11 or 12, but I wasn't dancing at the time. Like, I was going to public school, like I was playing sports, like I played soccer. Because I started dancing when I was young, and I would do like ballet, but I was like, I don't want to dance. So then I stopped dancing, and I was playing soccer. Like, I was just posting like selfies, like with my friends from school. Like, I didn't really take social media as serious. And you know, I just did it because, like, of course, all of us used to do social media as like a fun thing or something for us, like an extra thing for us to do, you know, like for us to share what we're doing with our friends and everything. And then once I started back dancing again, like at home, it was only like 15-second videos, so I'd be posting like 6 parts of me like freestyling at my studio at home and like dancing and stuff like this. And then the more that I saw that like social media was turning into this thing where it's like it's becoming a business, it's becoming where you book your jobs and your connections, I almost think of social media as like a video game. So it's like I can post whatever I want. Like, this is me. Like, I'm free to share whatever it is that I want, however it is that I want. And I feel like that's an amazing thing because it's like you can connect with so many different people and they can almost like have a preview into your life by looking at literally just an Instagram page, you know what I mean? So, but like Bailey was saying, it's like an amazing thing to document, like all like post stuff. You post videos, post pictures. Like people get to see you grow, and I feel like that's where social media comes deep as to where like you really do have a connection with followers. You know, like people are like, oh, my fans, but it's like genuinely, it's really a thing where it's like you're really connected to those people because those people have been following you for so long, and it's like they've really been like watching your whole journey, you know? So it's like almost an emotional connection in a sense because these people have been watching you grow, and it's like when you meet those people who are like, I've been watching you since you were 12, like that's crazy to think, you know? And we're like so much older now. She started when she was 7 and someone's like, yo, I've been watching you since you compete. She'd be like, dang, that's a long time, you know? So, and then one last thing, social media, as far as like booking jobs and everything, that's real. Like it's like it is a real thing. Like everything that I've done, like I've booked off of social media. Like my first commercial with Target, like booked it off of social media. Like people see it as such a negative thing, and it can be, but you just have to learn how to be smart and play the game so that it brings you positive and not the negative. But yeah, that's all I gotta really say.
Damn. Oh, okay. I just learned something new. What stood out to me on that part was the emotional value, the recognition and approval that the hard work that we put in is appreciated and acknowledged by people, and that's something we do, like in human nature, is that connection. We strive on connections, whether it's spiritual or not, as approval as growth. We're not made to be by ourselves in that aspect. But yeah, that was sweet.
Thanks.
Someone had a question back there. And you're like way in the back, bro.
Well, I'm pretty sure everyone knows that people play the game of social media different. And I call it a game because that's what it is. Like social media is a gamble. It's like everyone's trying to figure out like, what are you supposed to do? Or, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to switch up, I need to make sure I'm consistent so that I can gain followers, so that I can get more jobs, to get more money, you know? And there's a smart way to play, and then there's a wrong way to play. Personally, for me, this is what I think. I feel that the wrong way to play is when you're aiming to gain a follower, when you're aiming to get a like, when you're aiming to get a gain, when you're aiming to get something and you're like, and you're trying to get an opportunity. I feel like that's where people go wrong, because then that's where mediocreness comes in. You know what I mean? And people just put out absolutely anything and everything in this world. They will be like, maybe if I post a picture of this chicken that's a baby, like people will like it, and then I'll start this chicken challenge, or like, you know, like people. And it's funny, but that's really what people think. Like, you would be so surprised how far people will go for social media, you know? And I feel like the smart way to play is the more genuine that you are and the more of an individual that you are and how you show yourself, I feel like that's a better way to gain followers, because then you're gaining followers who want to see you and what you do and what you want to post, you know? And I feel like it may take longer than someone who's trying to do a new challenge and post chickens and post dance videos, you know? But at least your followers and the people who support you is going to be more genuine, and they're following you for solely you instead of following you because you're following a trend of everyone else. You know what I mean? So it's like when it comes to playing the game, it's like you can either play it safe to where like you can follow what everyone's doing, or it's like you can take the longer way, but at least it's going to be more successful in a like a happier sense. You know what I mean? Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Good job.
Thanks. So my name's Jade. I got my first phone when I was 13 because my mom got a deal. If she got one for herself, then she was buy one, get one free. I wasn't supposed to get a phone till I was 15 because that was our age in our household. I think for me, everyone has to realize that life happens on your own timing, that I happened to be lucky enough that the window was open for me with social media when I entered it. If I had come in at a different time, it might be different. I might have 0 following. I might just be dancing, or I might not even be dancing. We don't know. And that's what I've had to realize within growing social media-wise and growing this popularity is that it is a blessing. But it's also, my path isn't the same as anybody else's path. And like playing off of what Nat said, everyone has basically categorized Instagram as this is how you get this and this is how you get this, you're in one or the other. But that's so wrong, and I think the reason why we have grown followings specifically with these two is because we've stayed true to ourselves. And the biggest compliment that I've ever gotten in my entire life, I think, is that I came into the industry around 12 years old. I started traveling from Utah when I was 12 and ended up having to drop out of school and do online school and finish 3 years early so that I could pursue this dream. There's those things that you have to give up in order to pursue your dreams. Not everybody's path is going to be the same. But the biggest compliment that I ever got was somebody that I had met right when I came out. She said to me last year, she's like, "You're still the same person I met when you were 12." I cried. I cried because for me, that's all I've ever wanted. Life is not about material things. When I die, I can't take my money, I can't take my dance skills, I can't take my followers, I can't take my clothes with me. I can only take the people that I affected and the message that I left and the legacy that I left. So every time I post something, every time I say something on my social media, I want it to benefit somebody. Because if I'm gonna be labeled an influencer, I want to actually influence something. I don't wanna be an influencer because I post pretty pictures of myself, or I'm a bomb dancer, I think I'm a bomb dancer. Like, no. For me, every time I dance, I'm giving a part of myself. And I think those are the positive things, is that we can connect with people all over the world without actually meeting them. And it's so cool that we can see someone across the world, that I can be inspired by someone across the world, or that I can inspire somebody across the world. And that then hopefully I can meet them one day, or I never meet them, but we still have this weird connection. And as they said, like, I've booked many more jobs from social media just because of the popularity that I've gained, but I'll never take it for granted, nor will I ever sway to fit that mold, because that's not me. I'm always gonna be me, and that's what I've noticed is being in the industry, being in this game of social media, a lot of people tend to change who they are to fit this mold. I see some of my closest friends, they're no longer my friends because now they're this person or they're this person, because we put labels on things. And that's what we like to do. We like to categorize things to make it easier for us to process. But not everything can be categorized. I'm not gonna be categorized. I'm always gonna push my limits. And that's also something that can be bad, is you gain this popularity and you gain this connection with people that you've never met, and sometimes it, for other people, can become an obsession, or they feel like they know you so well that they can do certain things, or they can be where you are and have this conversation, or you can come over. And for me, I've had some scary instances where people have really felt like they've known me and have crossed certain lines in terms of my space, like trying to follow me places or trying to do this. So talking on like some of the things that can be bad, you have to always make sure that you're aware and you are being safe and being in safe environments. And I think awareness can be applied to everything in life. You have to be aware when you're dancing, you have to be aware when you're talking, you have to be aware when you're eating or when you're walking. That's what I've had to learn personally. And also the reason why I started Self-Love Sundays is because social media creates this image that we're trying to fill all the time. You see these people that you may think are perfect. You see these people that you want to be like, and you tear yourself down because you're not at their standard. And I found myself, and I saw other people, especially young women, and I feel like it goes with men as well, that are hiding behind social media, that are altering their pictures so that they can look like something that they've seen. And it wasn't okay with me. And like he said, I actually did go through, I never thought I would get to this place. Because I'm a Leo, I'm a strong, beep, whatever. But
Leo
there was a moment, like last year, that I was depressed. Nobody knew, because that's not anybody's information, because social media ultimately is for us to promote ourselves, but it's also just a glimpse into somebody's life. A lot of times we only show the good parts. So everyone thinks that life is always great for that person. They didn't see the hard struggles. They didn't see the nights that they were crying, because people don't want to post that. People don't want to be vulnerable. And I was really bad at being vulnerable in terms of life. Always a great vulnerable dancer, and that's where I let that out. But with life, I wasn't. And I internalized everything that I've ever felt about myself, things that I didn't even realize I felt about myself, because of this day and age that we're growing in, and this social media platform where we're stuck on our phones, we're stuck looking at something rather than opening our eyes to what's actually out there. For me, I post and I leave. I suck at liking other people's pictures. I suck at reading comments. I suck at keeping up with people, because it's not meant to be something I'm glued on. I take social media cleanses all the time. I put my phone down all the time, because it's important to realize that there's life. Life is so much bigger than a phone, you know what I mean? There's like one phone and then there's a whole world, and I feel like a lot of people miss out on things. But for me, I internalize everything that ever happened to me, and there was a moment where stuff went wrong in my life, and I was so depressed, and I didn't know how to get out of it, because I had this phone that at first was draining me. I felt like I had to fill this image that I've created for myself. Sometimes I didn't feel like I was good enough to have the following that I had. I didn't feel like I was good enough to be called out in a class. I didn't feel like I was pretty enough to post a picture of myself. And I didn't realize that this depression was actually great for me, because I learned compassion. I never understood when other people had depression. I was like, get up, like get up, get out of it, like pull yourself out, come on, like, you know, there's life's great. And I realized I was so mad at myself too, because I'm like, I have all of this to be grateful for, and it's not enough for me. And that's when I realized I've placed my goals, and I've placed what I thought would make me happy into accomplishments and stepping stones. I thought, when I book this job, I'll be happy. When I reach this, I will be happy. When I do this, I'll be happy. And every time I reached that point, it wasn't fulfilling my happiness. And that's when I had to strip myself down and realize I have to practice actual self-love. It's become a trend, self-love. It's trendy now, but it's real. I feel like some people are just doing it to say, oh, you gotta love yourself, whatever. But it's so real, because at the end of the day, you have you. The only person that's always there is you. And I have to love myself even when I am struggling, even when I fail. And that's when I feel like I've just had my most growth this year, specifically, because I have realized I need to love myself in every process. I need to love myself when I feel like I'm not good enough. I need to allow myself to feel those emotions and emote them now. And I feel like I'm a better communicator. I feel like I speak my truth more now, because I'm done internalizing. I've focused this year on being vulnerable in life, because you only really live once. And I had a close friend in the industry actually pass away in his sleep, because he had a condition, and he was 20 years old. He had the world ahead of him. He was a great kid. He influenced positively. He didn't smoke. He didn't drink. He had a great platform. He's a huge actor, and passed away in his sleep. For me, we always say, oh, you only live once. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. But it made it real for me. It was real. That could have been me. And would I want to leave now? If I died today, what would I have left behind? If social media were to end today, would I still have a legacy? And that's what I've been focusing on, is because social media is going to come to an end. It is. I'm going to utilize it for sure, because it is something that can help me reach a better version of myself. It's something that can help me keep going, whether it be financially or making a business. But for me, it's a tool right now to open myself up to the world, open myself up to opportunities, and to create a legacy and to create relationships with people so that when that's gone, I still have those relationships and that legacy that I've built. And yeah, okay, that's it.
That's me. I was like, not
Like you had no periods in your sentences.
I know. It all comes together at the end, but like I hit so many different notes.
Yeah, it's good. Just jumped around.
You know, you remember when we were talking about the different forms, the chaos, and then it comes in like that?
That's you.
That's what-
Cool. Yeah, she touched on a lot of the subjects that we've been talking about throughout the week. You guys already know, I see it in your faces. And that these three young ladies have just verified everything we've been figuring. Nah, you're cool. Take it away. But you did share one story that was personal to you that was negative that turned to a positive thing. But I would also like to hear from the other two if you have something that have affected you in a way that's relatable to them as well. If you
Take it
feel
away,
like
Bailey.
sharing.
I was gonna say, you take it away, girl. I already took the first one. What you talking about?
You know, the pressures of social media or what people say. You know, I know it's a common thing that goes around, but everyone has their own story. No rush. We chilling. Look at they chilling. They brought mats from outside and chairs.
I know.
Like it's your house. This is my house.
Okay, it's kind of like social media. It is social media. It's okay, I'll just talk. So when I first moved to LA, I had about like 50,000 followers. So it's like, I was kind of like, when I was home, like in Michigan, like I was gaining my followers just from people at home or people from the East Coast to Midwest. Like that's kind of where my follower base was. And then once I had moved to LA, I like immediately like took classes all the time, and I don't look my age, I don't act my age, I don't dance my age. So it's like immediately as soon as I moved to LA, one, I was 14, but I looked so much older, and then it's like I would always like hide my face, like I would always wear hats to class, so it's like people can only like literally see me, not see my face. They automatically think I'm an adult, you know, so it's like right off rip, like when I was going to classes and stuff, I was looked at as an adult unless someone was like, how old are you? Or unless I was like, I'm this age, you know? So of course, like taking classes and stuff, like it was intimidating at first, but it's like I just wanted it so bad. So like I was taking everyone's classes, and then it's like once I started to get noticed a little bit, like I was in like every single video, and then I just noticed myself like it was almost like a pattern of me being inside every single video, and then it's like I was becoming homegirl from the Red Wall, or like, oh, you're the girl in the class video, you know what I mean? And that's something. Like the first time I heard it, I literally didn't take class for like 2 weeks. Like I literally stayed out of everyone's class because I was like, I refuse to become a person who's just labeled as like a thing, you know? Like I don't want to be, like I want to be known like, oh, that's Nat, or like, oh, that's like, I know her, you know what I mean? I don't want to be known as like a girl who's in all the class videos. So it's like, for me, that made me open up my eyes to see like, don't get lost in the sauce of this sense of like LA and like this whole dance scene and trying to attach to certain people and go to the first person who gives you an opportunity, you know? Like you really have to be open-minded and not lose yourself. And I know it's so much easier said than done, but it's like once you lose yourself and once you like get attached and you get off of where you were initially going, like it's clipped, like it is wraps for you, you know? And it's gonna be so hard for you to get back because you were so quick to attach to the first person who claims that they have the world that they can give you, you know? And it's sad to say, but it's like everyone is out for themselves, you know? Like at the end of the day, like of course you'll find those very few genuine people who genuinely do want to help you out and grow with you, but ultimately everyone is out for themselves. So it's like they're gonna get what they can out of you, and then once they get their use and they got their gain, you're gonna see how you and that person slowly start to distance, and then you're left to go back to square one where you were at, but they got their gain out of you because they used you and you weren't even noticing because you weren't paying attention because you got so caught up. you know? And personally, that hasn't happened to me with a certain person, but I feel like I got caught up in the sense of like class videos and the scene of LA, and I got caught up in like this social media thing, and I was like, I literally had to step back and not take class to realize like, yo, like you're going so off track, you know? And once I stopped like taking as much class, like it all calmed down, like I wasn't being called a video girl, and like it really like hurt me in a sense, because it's like, dance is so much more than steps, and that's why I imply that so much, and I really like drill that wherever I go, because people are so stuck on steps and teaching you a song, and people think that if you don't have these amount of jobs, or that if you haven't done these many steps and you don't have this, and this, it's like, being a teacher is not about whose steps are the best. Like if you have something that you can offer and give to people, then you can be a teacher, you know? Like just because Bailey's 15 years old does not mean that, one, she hasn't done jobs. It doesn't mean, two, like she doesn't have anything that she can give you guys, you know? Like people, another thing that I can touch on, actually, since I just said that, another thing is that for people who are young and who are 18 and younger are literally like bashed. Like we literally get bashed all of the time. Like it looks like we're so supported, but when I tell you it's literally 18 and under against the world, that's literally how it is. And it's because like there's such a separation between the older generation and the younger generation, and they believe that you know, that we don't have anything to offer, that you can't offer anything because you're too young, you don't have enough knowledge, you know. But people fail to realize that somebody who's 18 and who travels the world, or somebody who's 20 and has experienced so much life personally, can live more life than a 40-year-old man. You know, it's like everybody's life is different. Like everyone lives a different way. So it's like for someone to be able to say like you're not capable of teaching someone, it's like that hurts me too. You know, like I've had like choreographers that I look up to and that I would respect, and I would give them their credit, and I would respect them, and I would be like, yo, you're amazing. And I've still had those same people like bash me because they're like, you're trying to dance like me. You're not a teacher. You can't teach. You can't make up choreo, da-da-da-da. And it's like, I would get those things from those people, but I was like, you know what? I had to think of it as that's an internal issue. I'm not gonna let your negative comments or what you think and your thoughts affect me and my journey, because at the end of the day, you're not cutting me a check. You're not paying for me to come to these conventions. Like you're not the one booking me for these things. Like these people want me, and they trust me enough, and they have enough faith in me to come do that. So it's like, instead of me focusing on that negative, I'm gonna focus on all the positive that is happening, and then give what I can, you know? So it's like, there's a lot of negative things that can come with social media, like Jade was saying, where it's like, people can come at you and like you can feel unsafe, and it's like people feel that they know you more than they do, or it's like you can get caught up in it in a sense to where you could be that person on the other side, you know? I guess what I'm just trying to say in general is just like, you just really have to stay on your own path and focus. And like I said, I know it's easier said than done, but the more that you kind of spend alone time and get to know yourself as a human, and you figure yourself out, no matter what it is that you do and no matter what is said to you, you will be okay because you're here mentally. Does that make sense? Like someone was asking like, how do you like have an identity? Like how do you find yourself? How do you know who you are when you're dancing? And I'm like, it's deeper than dance when you think about it, you know? Like it's not about, we're just like, okay, we're gonna dance and then see what style we like. We're just gonna take classes and then figure out what feels good on us. Obviously, we know what styles do and don't fit us, but we're all individually different because of who we are as humans, you know? And that's why I imply so much, I'm like, we all do a dance for a different reason, and that's true. Like the way that I make up something, my reason for making it up is gonna be different from the person that's learning it, you know? And I feel like people miss out on that so much because they're like, I want you to do my choreo like me. But it's like, what are you gonna gain from that besides being able to be a clean dancer, you know? Like, you should be able to find yourself as a human and like find your identity. And like, I just feel like if you know yourself as a human and like you're here 100% and you're here with yourself 100%, then I feel like no matter what comes at you negatively, no matter what comes to you on social media, like no matter what, as long as you just stay true to yourself, I promise whatever it is that you do, like you will be successful in it 100%. Like, that's just what I feel.
Dang.
I'll jump in before I forget on the part that I can agree on that she said about being bashed.
Oh yeah.
There are two sides to it, of course. There's always two sides of things.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
One thing to think about in case if you are that type or the opposite that gets bashed, a lot of folks who do this negative thing to another, one thing I can say is that they come from a different time where they had to, not that you don't work hard, but it took them longer because there was no platform or anything that was served to them easily. You had to find the steps. Therefore, their experience is categorized through time by a number versus the worth of experience. In this day and age now, it's so fast-paced and information is so available that the experience time span is minimized, and they don't realize this. And I'll say as if I don't realize it because it's my day and age a bit, but I'm still current. But, right? But it's also being tarnished by individuals that are of the majority.
100%. Can I add something? Basically to what he was saying, I'm not going to say those people deserve to be bashed because nobody deserves that, but I know that the feeling of that frustration comes from the older generation because there are a handful of people who are in our age range who do this for the wrong reason, and that's what frustrates them. But I feel like where we could find the easy medium is to where even though we have those handful of people who are doing it for the right reason and then those people who aren't, instead of it being like a bitter frustration thing, like I feel like they should be the ones to teach instead of talk, you know, like instead of being like, you're doing this wrong, then teach us. You know what I mean? So that's why I feel like the easy, like the medium can be found, because like he said, the frustration does come from people who do this for the wrong reason. There are kids who post and they're like, I want clout, I want this, I want that, I want followers, I want followers, Instagram, like, you know what I mean? Like there are those kids who are like that, and that's why the older generation gets frustrated, because they're like, you're taking advantage and you're taking this for granted. And I 100% agree with what he's saying, like that's where that comes from, but yeah.
Word. It's also true that the past needs to humble itself, because we don't, I'm saying we as the past, as if I'm representing the past, even though I'm not, because I'm current. Just keep that clear. The past needs to humble itself, because you guys are 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 versions of the past. It keeps growing. Remember, the world keeps spinning. You can't hold it back. It's always going to go forward. We're always trying to rebuild into something new to advance. And if the past can't understand what that advance is, then they will be bitter. And all you got to do is just shrug them off. That's why when I think of politics and how much crap is going on in our country right now, I'm just like, you can argue all you want, but I'm just going to sit back until they all die. And then we'll just start again. Like, that's just my point of view, is like, they're all old coots anyways, and their time is limited, and then we'll just start a new civilization. But that's just like my mentality, right?
Sorry. I think you just have to focus on like evolving. I think that's what we're kind of stuck on. I think in between the generations is that you have to take what you have now and apply it to your life so that you can keep going, because life is going to ever change and nothing's going to stay the same. You're not going to always learn the same way. You're not going to always see the same way. There's going to be different things that are going to come into life that you can now utilize to help you get there. And I definitely have felt like that distance sometimes between like me and some older generations, but a lot of times I also think it's my mentality. I think that I'm thinking they're thinking something, so that I'm putting myself down because of that. I feel not qualified to teach because I know somebody who is older than me has more foundation than I do. Someone who's older than me has more experience than I do. But you have to give yourself credit and you have to give them credit. And what I've learned in life is if I ever feel a negative thing from somebody or a negative opinion or something, it genuinely has nothing to do with me. Everything that people say in a negative sense comes from their own insecurity and nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. Only thing that you can control is yourself and how you present yourself and the type of person that you are. And yes, I'm 20, but I started when I was 2. I did. I started breakdancing when I was 6. I started taking foundational classes when I was 8, 9, or 10, and I trained more foundational technically rather than more in the hip hop sense. So I think that I've put myself in a box. Like even coming here, I was intimidated. I was very intimidated because there's a lot of people here teaching that I respect, that are older and that they have so much technique and foundation behind them that I felt like I wasn't qualified because I didn't come from that same background. But what I have to offer is a lot different than what they have to offer. And I'll never claim to be what they are, but one thing that I knew that I could offer is feeling and emotion and performance, because everyone has a different why as to why they're dancing. For me, mine is to express. Mine isn't to be the best foundational dancer. When I dance, I do it purely from emotion because as a human being, that's how I release. That's my release. So everyone's reasoning is different, and that's why I think that sometimes I put myself in my own box and separate myself from the older generation because of things that have been said, rather than them actually saying it to me. So you have to like sometimes step outside of yourself and not get intimidated or put yourself in that box, because yeah.
Can I say one more thing? Okay. So to kind of add off to something that she was saying, but it's kind of changing the subject. So Jade was like saying how, oh my God, I just forgot it that quick. Okay, anyways, I'm just gonna go into it anyways, but I just feel like, oh, she was saying that she was like scared to come teach because like she felt intimidated and everything, and like she felt like she wasn't qualified enough to teach, and it's like she felt like she didn't have enough experience. But it's like the only way that you're going to gain experience and that you're gonna be able to learn is to fail. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's also another thing with social media and us having these images and us having these titles that we're trying to uphold ourselves to. Like, people sometimes forget that we're human, and sometimes we forget that we're human. You know, like we sometimes are so on the go and we're so like this that we completely forget that like we're here, you know, like sometimes you need to just like take a step back and like make yourself grounded, because you forget that like you can mess up, you know, like that's why when people go to class, like they beat themselves up because they mess up. Like, and I know I'm that way because I'm such a perfectionist. Like, I just want to be able to get stuff. Like, I hate to like not succeed in something, and then I'm just like, Nat, like, why can't you get this, you know? And I know it's frustrating, but it's like you doing that and you beating yourself up and then you constantly taking yourself down is only going to make you stay in the same spot or get worse. You know what I mean? And it's like people forget that for you to mess up, that's where you learn, where you need to fill in those key points, and where it's like where you need to grow so that you're able to, like she said, evolve and then get to the next level. Because it's like you don't know what you need to get, and you don't know what you need to fix in order to grow unless you mess up, you know? And I feel like people are like, you don't have enough experience. Well, it's like I can't gain experience unless I try it, and then once I mess up or once I do something wrong, then I know to fix it the next time. You know, it's like that's life. Like, that's what life is. That's how everybody figures out anything, and even outside of dance, like just in life, period. You cannot grow and you cannot get better in something. You can't get better in life unless you mess up. Like, it's just a human thing. But yeah. Sorry, baby.
It's all right. No. Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm not like a huge talker when it comes to this kind of stuff. But I'd say for me, with social media, I think the most important part is just staying true to who you are, and just besides the phone, besides all of that, because I'm part of like the young side of things. I know a lot of people, and I've had a lot of friends that have chosen to use it in a different way. And so for me, I think just staying around the right people. Like, I'm very fortunate and very lucky to be amazing parents, amazing family, just like great people around me, which I'm very lucky and very blessed to have. But I feel like just kind of taking away the phone from everything, because it can get a lot. Yeah, like in terms of content and like everything is just a lot. Everything, you have access to everything on your phones, which is crazy. It's good, but then there's also the bad, because everybody can post anything, you know, anybody can say anything they want, express how they feel. And it's great because, like we were saying earlier, like we've been able to create almost like a family. Yeah, like we've met so many, not necessarily met, but we've created many relationships through social media, many friendships, and like so many people I haven't even met. And like actually there's one girl that I've been kind of conversing with. Like, she's from Japan, and I'm about to meet her in a few days, and I'm so excited because I've been talking to her for about like 2 or 3 years, and she's been like sending me things through my P.O. box, and I finally get to meet her. And just relationships like that is just so amazing, and it's so cool to me. But the good comes with the bad, yeah. So there's a lot of negative comments that you'll get, a lot of people that are just sitting behind a screen just saying whatever they want to say, you know what I mean, just to, because they have probably nothing really better to do, yeah. And so, I mean, it's just up to you and how you react to it. My mom was always telling me, like, there's one quote, it's not what happens, but it's how you react to it. That's the main, it's your reaction. How are you going to go from there, kind of thing. So it's, for me, I normally, when I see those kind of comments, I just kind of keep going. Yeah, just keep going. I don't even want to address it, don't even want to like give them the opportunity to do whatever they want with my response, if that makes sense. So, I mean, it's just, it's so, I mean, for me, because I'm like I've been saying, like I'm young, and my parents are very supportive over everything. And so like I have them, like I'm like sitting here like learning so much just from this conversation from, you know, these amazing humans. But yeah, it's just, I'm learning a lot through it, because I don't even, literally after my summer travels, I'm going home and I have to go to school. Like I literally have to go back to 10th grade and go through all of that. And even though for me, it's like, it's a different experience.
Good for you.
It's different because I don't go to public school. Yeah, I do all my schoolwork at home. And so I don't have that like same normal social connection with people. I have friends, but like I'm not like, you know, I'm not like, oh, I can't wait to go to lunch with these people because I'm going to lunch with my mom, you know, like stuff like that. And I love it. It's great. Right, exactly. And so like for me, it's like my main connection is through social media. I talk to all the people I follow whenever I can, hopefully. Like I see everything that everybody's up to on social media, and it's, like I said, it's good and bad. It's interesting. And in terms of the next generation, not the next generation, the older generation, yeah, I was so intimidated to be here. I'm just gonna be like super transparent with you guys. I overheard that I'm the youngest fair play teacher. I'm not really sure, but no.
Period.
No, but I was so scared.
And the kindest.
Thanks. But I was like so stressed out. It literally, for the class that I taught today, one piece, it took me 3 different pieces before I got to that one piece. I choreographed one piece, and then I scrapped it. I was like, no, that's not good enough. Like, just getting so in my head with everything. Like, oh, like, you know, like, I have like 1,000 voices in my head, guys. You don't even know what's happening in here. There's like always something happening. But yeah, it was always like, in my head, it was like, it has to be good enough. You know, if it's not good enough, then it's not this. And then I kept on going, and I was like, I don't like that. And so I went on to the second piece, like in the same mindset, which wasn't even smart at all. But, and then I was like, nothing about it felt right. So I kind of took a step back from everything, and I was like, what am I doing? I like have to change something at this point. Like I can't do this again and again and again because that's just gonna keep repeating itself. And so I just kind of had to step back and it was like had to reevaluate and just kind of like drop expectations over everything. And it's like I dance because I love to dance. You know, it's like it's not like I dance because I want this person to look at me and I want this like this like this. Like I dance for me. That's why like if anybody took my class earlier today, the class was focused on yourselves. Yeah, because you guys like self-love, like it's so important. And that's something that I'm learning right now, and it's something that like, you know, it's so important. And like Jade said earlier, it's like it's a trend, you know, so it's like, oh, self-love, like be yourself, whatever. But it's real. It's really real. Yeah. So like no matter what comments you get, no matter what people say to you, just I think as long as you stay true to yourself, nothing else will really matter. And that's about it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Kind
Do
of like,
it.
like off of the self-love thing. So like I've always been the type of person like growing up, like I have always been the type to where it's like I would never emote unless I was literally alone, you know? So it's like no matter like how much like pain like I was feeling or like how much emotion like I was going through, you would literally be like not be able to tell. And I feel like that's so unhealthy because my perspective on that type of thing was like you cannot be vulnerable because you'll be perceived as weak. And I didn't want to be seen as weak around people so that they feel like they have the opportunity to take advantage of me in a vulnerable sense to where they can do something to manipulate me in a sense, you know? And that could be with anything. And it's like I just was always so guarded and like just so like closed off and it hit me recently, like I would say probably like March to about June. Like I was going through like it was just like when like life literally hit me and it's like I was like brought to, it was almost like a reality check, you know, because it's like for so long I just disregarded emotion, like I disregarded like real life things and I disregarded the inside of myself a lot because I don't know, I just didn't ever really pay attention to it because I didn't want to, because I didn't want to become vulnerable in that sense and become so open. And I feel like that's where like a self-love thing comes in for me because I've always been that type of person to like be, to internalize. And it's like, I've always been so confident in like myself and my decisions that I've made, but it's like, it was always off of this instead of like this, if that makes sense. It sounds so corny, but it's like I was always a mind thinker and everything came from my mind instead of coming from my gut and what I really wanted to do, you know? So it's like, I feel like with the self-love thing, like it just made me like a better like person, like a better dancer. It's like spending time to like, and taking time to yourself and like being alone. And as corny as it sounds, when people are like, you need to like take time to yourself and self-love, like they're saying like it's a trend and certain people do it as a trend, but they really don't realize like how real it is because you being able to spend time with yourself and like learn yourself and figure yourself out is just going to make everything so much easier in life. Like it's gonna make all of your decisions easier to make. It's gonna make your choices as a dancer easier to make because you know what you wanna say or what you wanna do or, you know? And I just feel like for a while it was just so hard for me to figure it out because I just didn't pay attention to myself as much as I should have because I've always been the type of person to look after other people more than I look after myself. And that like that's just always what it's been. But it's like it just took for me to like have to go through like such like a weird time to like figure myself out so that I was able to like really tap into life, if that makes sense. But yeah.
Okay, well, she gets to say one last thing, so do I.
I'm telling you.
That's funny. But I'll actually make it a little bit shorter. I'll try. I ramble a lot.
Oh, God.
I think a part of like the self-love thing is like finding that love within yourself. But I think also with the day and age that we're in, it's really important to find community because this it can become a little bit lonely when you're stuck on your phone or you're focused on your own path or, you know, just being in an industry with people. There can be jealousy. There can be certain people that feel a certain way about you. And one thing that I've had to really focus on is finding people that are always going to be there for me And for me, it's been a little bit hard to find constant friendship or constant support because, and I'm not saying this in any egotistical way, but sometimes my friends would see the accomplishments that I was gaining, and that would switch their perspective of me, and they couldn't support me in that because it reminded them of where they want to be. I know it's horrible, and then I felt like I couldn't be happy for myself when I did have these accomplishments because I didn't have friends who supported me when I had those accomplishments. Because I will always support my friends. I will always cheer them on. I will cheer them on in class, whether they're messing up or they're going full out and they're crushing it. Because I believe that what the world really needs is a mutual support. Because your path is so different than other people's path. My path is so different from my best friend's path, whether we look alike or we don't, whether our dreams are the same or they're not. It's really important to find the people that are going to support you no matter what your circumstances are, no matter where you're at in life. And that's what I focused on this year, and my circle's small, but I'm okay with that. And it's really important that you guys find friends and you find people that are going to support you throughout this, whether it be your family or just people that you see every day.
Okay, that's it.
And then I'm kidding.
And then also,
It can be a big oval now.
oh, an oval, an egg. Ooh.
Are we good?
Yeah, I'm done.
The thing that I wanted to say lastly to close it out, maybe. They'll be here for like another few hours and then, back to our lives.
Okay, so then we're going to keep going.
The surprise that I said that was happening today is not who the individuals are. The surprise is being able to see who they are as a person. That's the perspective I'm giving you guys to look at in a different way. That we do have to be a certain persona when we are playing our role. That's still us, we're still characterizing it as one thing. But I've watched these ladies individually through time, more currently with Bailey in the past year. But hearing how they talk versus how they dance, you can see there's a change as well. I see you guys are opposite of how you are, how serious you are when you perform versus all this energy and joy and humor because she's raised with two brothers. Yeah. Yeah.
She's beat.
But I ask around. So I don't like to judge based on what I see because I don't use my eyes anyways. I ask around, and these are the reason why these three leading ladies in this era now are here to support this, to give what they offer to you, and that you can see them as people, not what you see them on the screen. Cool? You, I learned, are an introvert who dances.
Yeah.
So you're.
Yeah.
I've learned them.
I'm not the most social butterfly, but I am trying kind of a little bit. I mean, ever since I started.
Do you feel you need to try?
Ever since I started, that was so weird. Sorry. No, ever since I started acting, I realized because what Nat was saying, oh my God, no, stop. But what Nat was saying earlier, I feel because I started dancing competitively when I was 5-ish, and so I started just taking classes when I was about 2 or 3, and so I feel ever since then it's been kind of just be professional always. Yeah, so whatever I was feeling, if I was in pain or any sort, you just had to keep going. It didn't matter, nothing mattered. So if you're happy, you just gotta whatever it is, you just gotta keep going, do it. And I feel a lot of us have that kind of same experience, and we can kind of relate in that sense. But yeah, I started taking acting classes, and then it was he would ask me, my acting coach, he's so how would you relate to this feeling? When would you express yourself like this? And I'm I dance, because that's where we release, I feel majority of us, because we have to be professional because we're working or whatever. But I've never, normal kid experiences was never really, yeah. Exactly, yeah. A lot of normal kid things, I didn't learn how to swim till I was way older. I still don't know how to ride a bike. Just normal kid things, I never really got that same experience. But I feel I'm definitely, because I'm 15, I'm shaping who I am right now. I'm trying to figure out everything. But I feel yeah, I'm trying to like open up myself to more experiences and just talk to humans more because I normally don't. So, yeah.
Introvert, but
Like, yeah, I just want to learn and figure out who I am. So, yeah,
Nice.
little fun fact.
Let's clap it up. Just to close it out, because I know Ian's next, but well, I'll get a question in a second. But they all love you. Just as this approval thing, just to get you guys. I've learned to love you guys here individually. And I'm just, I don't know, when you get older, you start loving shit. It's weird. If you guys know my history, gangster. I have stories that will scare the shit out of you. Cool? But I'm a much better person now. Nice? But my character, I still have that rawness when I talk to you. It's a real thing, so I'll never change. And I can see that you three have not changed. Especially, I remember you when you first came to LA. Still talkative and hyped and yeah. Don't change it out. But thank you, three.
Thank you.
If you do have to leave for Ian's, that's fine. But I knew some people had some questions, but I can throw it out to you.
Woo! Yes, Lando.
Shut up.
Yeah. Wow! Yeah.
Lando Wilkins.
Let's go, Lando. Yes, Lando.
Really?
I don't like shine.
Yeah, but you nice.
Yes.
Wow. What's that?
I mean, for me, I definitely feel pressure to fill the shoes that I've created for myself or that people think of. And especially with teaching for me, when I first started teaching, I kind of just got pushed into it where people expected me because I was a great dancer that they expected me to be a great teacher. But it's like a completely separate thing. There can be a great singer, but it just doesn't necessarily mean they're a great writer or composer of music. They just have a voice, you know what I mean? So I definitely had to fine-tune my teaching ability, and I think I'm still working on that. That's something that I still am growing in. But I definitely did feel pressure to be great immediately, which I just have to tell myself that it's okay that I mess up, and that's why I'm using my social media more to really, really show who I am. And even on my off days, I'll post a story of me crying because my dog passed away, and that's okay. Do you know what I mean? It's okay for me to show my vulnerable side, and like I said earlier, I've been dedicating this year to being vulnerable and to stripping all like the ego away from myself and from other people and not allowing certain things to affect me, but just to continue on my journey. And I think there's now like having social media and being a dancer or a voice and being an influencer is just merging. I think that I was given this platform for a reason, so I'm going to use it correctly, and I'm going to try to keep growing within it and spread positive messages. And if I'm going to be given something, I might as well make the most of it.
Are we good? Bye.
Woo! Get that training in. Okay, let's go.
Enjoy the rest of the day as always. And thank you for those who've been here throughout the whole week for the S.O.S. program. You guys helped me out a lot.
Gosh.
Figure this one out. Thank you, Fair Play.